Hello and welcome back to GP Blog. My name is Cameron Smith. The new Formula 1 season is nearly upon us, and I for one can't wait. With new regulations and new cars, the grid could be completely jumbled up, and with the element of surprise from the first pre-season test onwards, it promises to be a thrilling rollercoaster ride of a season. 4 drivers will be competing for new teams in George Russell at Mercedes, Alex Albon at Williams, and both Valtteri Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou at Alfa Romeo. But, understandably, in a year of change, most teams have decided to stick with what they had in regards to their driver pairing. As with every year, the promise of a new season brings the potential of records being broken. While Lewis Hamilton has been polishing his collection of F1 records for several years now, there are still a few he doesn't hold, and several that could be broken by other drivers. So, which Formula 1 records could be broken this season? Most F1 podiums without a world title. The first record that could tumble will depend entirely on how well Alfa Romeo have developed their car and how many crazy races we have in 2022. The current record holder of the most podiums in F1 without a world title is former Ferrari driver Rubens Barrichello, who currently sits on 68. The man in second is, you guessed it, Valtteri Bottas, just a single podium behind on 67. While Alfa Romeo have regressed in recent years, there's no reason they couldn't pull a surprise and help Bottas achieve several podiums in 2022. Although holding this record may not be considered a great achievement by the Finn, who would have loved to have added a Drivers' Championship to his multitude of podiums. Longest time between Grand Prix victories. Next up is a record that could be smashed out the park this year if Fernando Alonso can turn back the clock. The Spaniard's last F1 race win ironically came at the 2013 Spanish Grand Prix. By the time the 2022 season opener rolls around, it will have been 3,234 days since that victory. And of course, that number will keep growing if Alonso doesn't see the checkered flag first in Bahrain. The current holder of this particular record is Riccardo Patrese, who went 2,402 days between his win at the South African Grand Prix in 1983 and the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola in 1990. Most race wins in a season. Now this is a record that anybody could beat in 2022, and by anybody, I literally mean anybody. Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel both secured 13 race wins during a single F1 season and are tied for the most in history. So, if a dominant team and driver does establish themselves in 2022, there's no reason this record can't be toppled. Now it's time for the Hamilton Show. Which records could he break this year? Race wins in the most consecutive seasons. Michael Schumacher and Hamilton are currently tied on 15 each, with the Brit equalling the record with his win at Bahrain in 2021. Just one win this season and he will move into the outright lead. Most wins at one Grand Prix. Again, Schumacher and Hamilton are level, this time with 8 each. Schumacher recorded 8 victories at the French Grand Prix, while Hamilton has achieved the feat at both the Hungarian and British Grand Prix. With the Hungaroring and Silverstone on the calendar for 2022, Hamilton will have 2 shots at this record. Most pole positions at one Grand Prix. This time, Ayrton Senna joins the party, with Schumacher and Hamilton on 8 pole positions at the same Grand Prix. For Senna, they came at the San Marino Grand Prix. For Schumacher, they came at the Japanese Grand Prix. While for Hamilton, it's the Australian Grand Prix, which has been cancelled for the past 2 years, denying him the chance to secure 9 pole positions at the circuit so far. Most consecutive wins at one Grand Prix. Both Senna and Hamilton have 5 consecutive wins at one Grand Prix. Senna achieved this with 5 back-to-back victories at Monaco. As for Hamilton, it's the Spanish Grand Prix, and with F1 scheduled to race at the Circuit de Catalunya later in 2022, he could well beat this record. Most Drivers' Championships. And finally, it's the big one. Max Verstappen denied Hamilton his 8th world title in 2021, meaning the Brit is still level with Schumacher and 7 championships. So he'll be desperate to secure an 8th to cement his place as the greatest F1 driver of all time. Which of these records do you think will be broken in 2022? I'd love to know your thoughts. And I'm not an F1 stats wizard, so there's bound to be plenty more records that I've missed out, so let me know any more you can think of in the comment section down below. Who knows, Guan Yu Zhou could have the greatest rookie season in history, or Nikita Mazepin could win every single race, albeit that's slightly unlikely. That's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time.